In 2017, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Gates co-founded CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. The stated goal: fund rapid vaccine development for known threats like MERS, which is Middle Eastern Respiratory Virus, and unknown threats they ominously called Disease X. And the specific aim: shorten vaccine development timelines from years to months. Does that sound familiar? And when COVID hit, we were told it was a miracle that vaccines were developed in under a year. It wasn't a miracle. It was the system Gates built becoming operational. But you can't roll out a global health regime without controlling the narrative. Take a look.
You should have free speech, but if you're inciting violence, if you're causing people not to take vaccines, where are those boundaries that even the U.S. should, have rules? And then if you have rules, what is it? Is there some AI that encodes those rules? Because you have billions of activity and, if you catch it a day later, the harm is done.
Harm is done. And this is where Bill Gates becomes a primary financial pillar of what journalists now call the censorship industrial complex.
Today, American taxpayers are unwittingly financing the growth and power of a censorship industrial complex run by America's scientific and technological elite, which endangers our liberties and democracy.
Gates is a major donor to two key censorship nodes, Gavi and the Atlantic Council. Now, Gavi is not just an NGO, it's a massive public-private partnership that functions as the world's central purchasing authority for vaccines in the developing world. Take a look.
Gavi's very innovative because it's constantly looking at the data. How do we make sure that these vaccines are always available? How do we maintain the cold chain? A lot of innovation there. How do we track the data to see what's the most efficient way to achieve our goal? The whole process of working with the country health systems with this deep understanding of where vaccines should be used, that's really revolutionized global health.
Governments, pharmaceutical companies, and NGOs all flow through Gavi. It aggregates global demand, negotiates bulk pricing, and controls vaccine distribution across dozens of countries. The Gates Foundation didn't merely contribute to Gavi, it launched it. It remains one of its largest funders, and it holds a permanent seat on its board. In other words, Gates doesn't just support vaccines, he helps govern the global vaccine market. Now, back to the Atlantic Council, which is home to something called the Digital Forensic Research Lab, or the DFR Lab. And their stated mission is tracking online disinformation. Now, of course, records released through the Twitter files and the Facebook disclosures showed the DFR Lab regularly submitting lists of suspicious accounts to social media companies, requesting moderation or, outright bans of COVID conspiracy theorists and anyone expressing vaccine hesitancy. So this is how the system actually operates. First, corporate power. Large multinational corporations whose controlling stakes are held by billionaires and institutional investors like Bill Gates lobby elected officials to shape policy in their favor. Second, you've got government constraint. So agencies like DHS or the State Department, they can't directly censor Americans. The First Amendment makes that illegal. So that function gets outsourced to NGOs and academia. Groups like the Atlantic Council and Gavi, now they do the monitoring. They generate reports and risk assessments and informal hit lists of alleged misinformation spreaders. And finally, those lists are quietly passed to Facebook, Twitter, Google, and other platforms, and those companies then remove accounts under the language of platform safety and community standards. No official orders, no visible government censorship, just a seamless pipeline. Corporate lobbying, government pressure, NGO validation, and platform enforcement. It's censorship laundering. Everybody maintains plausible deniability, everybody keeps their hands clean, and we're told it's all for our own good. Have you ever asked why we were so censored? I mean, is it so we would take the vaccine without pause? in part, but there's a lot more to it. You think they banned talk of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and vitamin D because they cared about misinformation? No, it wasn't because they posed some insane threat to society. It's because of a law called Emergency Use Authorization, or EUA. You legally cannot fast-track an experimental vaccine if there's an adequate, approved, and available alternative treatment. So, if ivermectin worked, their fast-tracked, multi-billion-dollar vaccine authorization would have been illegal. They didn't censor early treatments because they were dangerous. Ivermectin won a Nobel Prize. They use it to treat babies with scabies. Okay, the side effect profile of ivermectin was nominal. They had to crush the competition to clear the runway for the product they owned. Now, while we don't have a link connecting Gates directly to Wuhan yet, what we know now is that COVID-19 was not organic. This long-anticipated pandemic was manufactured through gain-of-function research in a lab and released somehow into Gen Pop for reasons we will never be able to confirm. However, there is some indication as to why this may have happened. Take a look. So we don't actually know who sent this correspondence to Jeffrey Epstein because that has been redacted, but we do absolutely know that it was a conversation between Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates. It says, "Cool, quadruple exclamation mark. I'm excited. Also, I've been thinking a lot about that question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer/comment regarding that for you. When can I call you today to discuss this?" Are you effing kidding me? How do you get rid of poor people? I mean, this is disgusting. It is obscene. It is outrageous. As we all sat here and wondered, like, hey, could it be a bioweapon? Could it have been on purpose? Could it have been to cull the population? We were told we were crazy. No. First it came from a wet market. Then it came from a lab, maybe sort of. Well, now all of the world's intelligence agencies pretty much confirmed that it has come from a lab because they were tinkering around with a pathogen that ended up killing millions of people. But when we all wondered, like, hey, Nishat, you did this on purpose. Oh, no, don't be bananas. And yet, you have these two psychopaths trying to figure out how to get rid of the world's poor people. All right, guys, if you like this clip and you want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want more content like this, you can subscribe to the show by clicking here.